Hi, I'm
Now.
Jonathan Rogers, game director.
There was error. Oh yeah.
Even though it's early access, this isn't just some small taste. The game is huge. In this live stream, we're going to be introducing everything you can expect. So without further ado, let's roll the gameplay trailer.
Existence is a thing of beauty, precious, but impermanent. Life and death are mortal enemies, and yet bound to one another. The continuation of life must be protected at all costs.
Must be protected. Tam někoho řízli.
Some have said my methods are brutal. To this I say, there can be no salvation without sacrifice.
No, ty vole, pěkný. Pěkný. Jo, tady to vypadá pěkně. Kurcečka nějaká. Okay. Au, vajsky. To je dobrý strom. Jako vypadá to prostě luxusně ta hra.
We are faced with the end, and I will do what I must. Those who obsess with death, let them soon be acquainted with it.
Ručička, ty vole, ručička.
Now, as you just saw, even in early access, Path of Exile 2 is a big game. It's actually been 5 years since we announced PoE 2, and over that time we've revealed
5 let, jasně, no, že 5 let to je.
It's pretty hard to keep track of it all. So today we're going to do a full rundown of all the content that will be available at the start of early access.
Okay, takže plný rundown čeho, co bude k dispozici hned z začátku a plný overview celý endgame, OK, že to bude dlouhý. 20 let, jasně. Takže 20 let nebyla žádná korupce, ale někdo se teď zbláznil a chce to všechno Takže tady nějaký count, nějaký rádoby... aha, takhle utečeš, takhle to vzniká, tak to... Asi.
And this is where you find yourself at the start of PoE 2.
Jo, to je začátek, to jsem ani nevěděl, že utíkáš. Vole, co je tomu? Co tomu je?
Plains of the Vesteri Desert and delve into the jungle ruins of Utsal, an ancient Val city.
FF, lidi píšou FF, takže prostě nezvládá to ten.
Challenging monsters, source of all this devastation. On the way, you'll face fearsome monsters, meet strange characters, forge unlikely bonds, and uncover lost civilizations. But first, you'll need to pick a class. Now, early access will initially have 6 classes available.
Takže Early Access bude mít 6 klas. Ready, takže první bude Monk.
Like all classes in PoE 2, you'll want to use a wide variety of skills to mix and match different combos. To get new skills, you'll first need to find skill gems. Using a skill gem will open the gem cutting menu, which shows all the active skills available in PoE 2. You can choose an existing
Technical difficulties.
The skill gem will open the gem cutting menu, which shows all the active skills available in PoE 2.
Okay, takže klasický skill gemy.
Or choose to engrave a new one. Since this is a level 7 skill gem, even if you pick a new skill, it will immediately be level 7. So there's no harm in trying out something new.
Takže protože to je level 7 skill gem, bude všechno level 7.
There are 3 schools of martial arts: lightning,
lightning, frost, no jasně.
And wind.
No wind,
Don't
jasně.
think you have to stick to just one. The best combos are going to involve mixing elements of all 3.
No jasně, klasický stakování nějakých buffů, elementy.
This can be used to quickly take advantage of a specific situation. If there's an enemy on low life,
dobře ho nandal. Okay, takže Touch of Death, klasický, mankovský, Slovenka.
The monk also has powerful combo skills. Tempest Bell, for example, is a skill that places a giant resonating bell. Hitting the bell causes it to ring, dealing damage to all enemies around it. You can also do things like freeze or shock the bell, which will add elemental damage to the strikes.
Jasný, takže si tam položíš ten zvon a můžeš mlátit do zvonu a rezonuje to do AOEčka. Ten týpek docela mu ubírají životy, jako. Docela mu ubírají životy.
There are 21 active skills for quarterstaves, so this just scratches the surface.
21 skillů celkem.
Dashing from pack to pack, spewing projectiles and obliterating screens of enemies with huge combo attacks.
No, jako vypadá to pěkně ten monk, jako.
That's a little slower, but hits much harder than the warrior is for you.
Okay, takže druhá klasa je warrior teda. Chunky, je to chunky boy. Okay.
Even though the mace slams are slow, you never lose control. Longer attacks can be retargeted as you go, and if you find yourself committed to a long attack, you can dodge roll out of it at any time.
Že můžeš dodge rollovat mid attack je teda divný, ale jako OK. Samozřejmě se bude úplně neskutečně využívat. Zajímavý.
Any slam skill will then cause these fishes to erupt.
Jo, to je cool, ale no.
I can even run through them with a skill like Stampede to do huge amounts of damage.
Stampede, no jasně, sírčeme.
The warrior can also use war cries, which can empower your next skill. Seismic Cry, for example.
Se mi tady ukazuje, že někdo dává nějaký...
The Stampede counts as a slam, so I can double that.
Gift suby.
If you want to go a little faster and be a little more defensive, equip a shield.
Okay.
In PoE 2, you can raise your shield at any time to block all damage from the front, even spells.
What the fuck? Takže můžeš... Jasně. Ok, takže můžeš blokovat všechen damage shieldem. Jasně, klasický červený. Ok, takže všechen damage, který jde zepředu, můžeš blokovat shieldem. Máš nějaký normální stamina bar, který se ti nabíjí tím, že dostáváš damage a ve chvíli, kdy ti ten bar naběhne, tak ho to zruší normálně. No tam je, hele. Totems are back.
You can also get ancestral warrior totems, which allow you to use any slam skill in your repertoire. This is a meta skill, which means that it's a skill you can put other skills into. I can take a slam like Sunder and socket it into my ancestral warrior totem. Now when I summon him, he'll sit there and slam the monsters from a distance. There are 20 active skills for maces, so there's a lot more to try out. But by ending,
a říkal, že když budeš prostě
fearlessly into combat and
jako vypadá to jako kurevsky pěkně, přestože nejsem jako warrior enjoyer a nikdy jsem moc nebyl, tak tohle to jako vypadá pěkně, no a teď teda je tady Ranger, což bude třetí klasa, která bude dostupná, takže to je, jsme v polovině těch klas, co budou k dispozici. Ranger teda třetí.
Poison, ice, and physical attacks. Lightning attacks bounce around between targets. You can also stick lightning arrows in the ground which explode when hit by the bouncers, or electrocute enemies to take them out of combat. Ice attacks allow you to slow and freeze enemies to keep them away from you. Using poison, not only can you slowly damage your enemies from afar, but also grow some interesting plants.
Interesting plans, jasný. Takže taky říkali, že ta quarterstaffa má 21 skillů a teď a ty bow má taky 21 skillů, takže to vypadá, že asi jako 21 skillů bude nějaký default na začátku. Vidím, no, 2 flaštičky, no.
In PoE 2 you have one dedicated life flask slot and one mana flask slot. Flasks gain charges as you kill enemies.
A to je stejný, no.
Heal 6 or 7 times if they fall.
Takže jsou flasky.
That's not the only thing you can use charges for. Charms are a new item type that will automatically defend you from various debuffs.
Takže jsou nějaký nový charmy taky.
Having trouble with getting frozen? Equip a thawing charm. When it's fully charged, it will make you immune to freeze for 3 seconds if you get frozen. To recharge them, just kill more monsters.
No vlastně. OK, takže místo... Takže to vypadá, že místo utility flasek jsou teď utility charge. Nebo utility charmy teda.
All classes in Path of Exile 2 can be controlled with WASD, which makes this class play exactly like a shooter. For the crossbow, you will find skills that work like shotguns, sniper rifles, assault rifles, and even grenade launchers.
Prostě voják. Prostě voják zkuší, ty.
It's very fast to switch between ammo types, as long as you already have them loaded, which makes the mercenary able to combo abilities together.
Takže to je ta 4. klasa, ten mercenary, že jo? No jasně.
Use Glacial Bolt to create walls of ice to separate enemies, then switch to fragmentation rounds to explode.
Neříkám nic, tohle to vypadá jako lepší ranger.
If I come across an armored enemy, I could use armor piercing rounds to break their armor, and then high velocity rounds to take them down. Or perhaps I could fire a gas grenade to poison enemies before detonating the cloud with an explosive shot for massive damage.
Okay.
If you want to call in some suppressing fire, you can summon artillery ballistas. These have a minimum range, so you'll want to prepare your position carefully before moving in.
Takže teď bylo vidět, že když ten enemy mlátil do té balisty, tak nedělala damage, který říkal, že je nějaký minimální vzdálenost, na kterou můžou dělat damage. Že když stojí někdo přímo před tou balistou, tak to tak není tak jako mimo range, protože to je jako moc blízko. Je další klása, to je 5. už?
With skeletons, noxious spells, special minions, curses, and sacrificial magic. Before we talk about minions, we'll have to talk about a new resource in Path of Exile 2 called Spirit.
Nějaká nová resource Spirit, to známe.
A range of persistent skills. All classes have a variety of these skills which
je tam nějaký Spirit a víme, že něco podobného, že to funguje podobně jako rezervace a prostě máte určitý množství spiritů a podle toho, kolik máte spiritů, tolik si můžete rezervovat jako skillů. A takže Blížka bude používat spirit na nějaký vyvolávání minionů. Takže vidíme, že přesně, vidíme, že teď má plnej. Přesně, kolik je potřeba spiritů, přesně.
Permanent minions come with special active abilities called command skills. You can order these guys to detonate your own minions for even more damage.
Detonate minions.
If you want a bigger army, you'll need a scepter. This new weapon type is imbued with even more spirit, allowing you to summon even more friends.
Okay, takže ta zvyšuje spirit.
If you want a bigger army than that, you can take advantage of corpses to summon true hordes of minions.
Jasně, takže vyvoláváš.
While her army is at work. Well, she has a range of chaos spells to spread disease.
Takže nějaký chaos damage. On skilly, to jsme viděli tohleto. Předtím už v tom videu, co ukazovali Vičku.
By the endgame, you will be the leader of a fearsome army of the dead, consuming everything in its path.
Že budete gigachat Lord of Death. Okay, a Swordská je teda poslední klása. Že prostě Vička je jiná klása než Swordská. To je teda 6. klása, tohleto, jestli umím počítat dobře. A jako co si budeme říkat, bude to první klása, kterou budu hrát. Netuším, jestli je dobrá nebo špatná, ale budu ji určitě hrát jako první. Nemohl, klasika.
If you place a ball and fire lightning sparks through it, they'll gain extra fire damage.
teď budou lidi říkat, to ukradli z Diabla, tam taky je flame wall a když přesto střílíš, tak to dělá větší damage, ale i v poječku už je flame wall, že jo, jedničce, kdy přesto střílíš projektily, tak jsou pafnutý.
For example, you grab the cast and ignite gem and use it with Firestorm.
Okay, a co se stane?
As you ignite enemies, a counter will go up in the top left corner. When it's full, a Firestorm will automatically be cast to the enemy that was ignited.
Okay.
There are 25 active elemental skills. By endgame, you'll be firing off projectiles left and right as you rain down elemental skills.
Left and right projektily.
Now, those are the characters that will be available at the start
Okay,
of the
tak je to, co říkáme, jich bylo 6. A bude dalších 6 klas. Na začátku jich samozřejmě bude jenom 6. Ok. Ještě něco důležitýho, bacha.
In reality, there are no restrictions.
No,
you can use all these skills on any class.
Jasně. A funguje to stejně jako v pojednice, že každá klasa teda může používat všechny skilly ve chvíli, kdy na ně máte staty.
The possibilities for cross-class combos are practically unlimited. We're looking forward to what kind of things you guys might find.
Cross-class komba nějaký brouknutý.
And we haven't even scratched the surface.
Tohle musím říct, že je docela jako cool.
So let's talk about support gems.
Že vlastně si vyvoláš ten bell jako monk a pak do toho šutíš tím tou crossbow.
If you find a support gem, then right-clicking it will open up this screen. Here you will find a variety of recommended support gems for each of your skills that you can pick between. For example,
ale support gemy fungují jinak, že už nemáš sokety v armoru, ale máš sokety přímo v těch samotných skillech. Granát. 3 granáti. Vlastně. Multi-shot sniper rifle.
Generally speaking, if it sounds like a support gem should work with a skill, then it will work. So it's a good idea to experiment.
Jasně, že pokud to vypadá, že by spolu mohli fungovat, tak to dělat. Ok, a tohle jsme věděli už, že každý support gem můžete mít jenom jedenkrát na charu, takže nemůžete mít 10 multi-shotů. Což je zajímavý, no.
Each skill can have up to 5 supports socketed into it.
Jasně,
you can come up with some pretty interesting ideas.
Že může být 5 support gemů.
You can make frost vortexes, break people's armor, make minions explode, make skills repeat. Make enemies set each other on fire, cull enemies or pin them to the ground. Supports let you drastically change the behavior of your skills and create your own unique build, or at least follow someone's OP build guide.
Hello, someone's OP build guide.
Most iconic Path of Exile systems.
No,
the passive skill tree.
Yes, ten je obrovský teda.
There are over 1,500 nodes on there.
1500 nodů.
No to
s tebou souhlasím.
Okay, takže but at its core, it's pretty simple. Each level you get 1 point to put into the tree. Each class starts at a different location, but they all share the same tree.
Jasně, klasika, všechny klasy mají stejný strom, jenom začíná jinde.
You should be safe in the knowledge that there aren't many wrong choices here. Almost all the starting nodes will be useful for your character in some way. But if you do happen to make a choice you regret, you'll be able to respec any nodes you've taken by spending a little bit of gold. Okay, takže jsou tam goldy a budeš moct respekovat za goldy. Vole, pecka. Tohle je důležitý, že to bude hned z začátku. In each cluster you will find small nodes that give
klasický klastry, no jasně.
But the real power comes from notables.
Jasně, notable nody, to známe.
Have much more interesting bonuses, and they tend to care a lot more about how your build works and what skills you're using. For example, in the mercenary area of the tree, this one gives a 25% chance for crossbow skills.
To je cool, což znamená, že nebudeš muset tak, no to je dobrý.
Gives grenades a chance to blow up a second time.
Jeden z 5 granátů a jeden ze 4 střel.
As well as giving you some pierce chance to make that more likely.
Rebounding.
Note that even though this is in the mercenary section, this would work with projectiles from all classes. So
Jasně.
To go to different areas of the tree.
Říká, že přestože to je v zóně mercenaryho, tak to funguje na všech klasách. Okay, a teďkon je teda změna, že atribut nody už nejsou set in stone, ale vybíráš si, jestli chceš dex, int nebo strength.
Keystones have both an upside and a downside, and often require changing your entire build to design around them.
Keystone prostě máme.
Giant's blood, which allows you to wield two-hand weapons in a single hand, but doubles the attribute requirements of them. You can use a two-hand mace with a shield, or even dual wield them.
Dual wield two-handky prostě, jasně no. Klasika tady.
Mind over matter, which makes all damage go to your mana pool first before your life pool.
Mind over matter, to víme.
Skills like these can be tough to build around, but if you're up for the challenge, they can be very rewarding.
No tak je to většinou, že tyhle ty keynotes nebo ty používáš, kdy máš nějaký gear na to prostě, že?
Exile 2's passive tree is that you can choose to have your passive tree change as you switch between weapon sets to take advantage of specific bonuses on the tree. For the sorceress, you might want to change between fire and lightning specialization.
Okay, weapon sety. Oh, I see.
Or you can switch between one hand and a two-hand setup in order to be able to block boss attacks while following up with heavy hits from your bigger mace.
To je cool, no.
Setup on your witch to debuff enemies before switching to a chaos degen build for maximum damage.
To je hustý, takže weapon, podle toho jsou dva weapon sety, což znamená, že budeš mít dva stromy vlastně asi. Teoreticky.
But creative players will find plenty of opportunities with this system.
No což.
You can get weapon specialization points throughout the campaign from optional bosses and quests. For example, if I manage to defeat the Crowbell, I'll get a weapon specialization book.
Okay, weapon
there are lots of other permanent boosts available from the campaign too. On the map, you can see icons that indicate the many optional encounters you can find. Some of them have permanent character boosts, and others have powerful
takže to chceš určitě udělat, že jo?
Getting past a boss, it might be a good idea to explore and see what you can find. For example, if you defeat Blackjaw the Remnant, you'll gain a permanent increase to fire resistance. One of the most important finds are spirit bonuses. You can find the first one
in the mids,
in Act 1. Defeat the boss in this area to acquire a permanent addition of spirit. The permanent
jasný, že dostaneš větší spirit, jasně.
Every class will find a use for them, so make sure you hunt down these upgrades. There's one in each act.
Jasně, že každý akt má nějakýho irma bonusa. Irma bonusa. Takže 4 rarity. To zůstalo stejný.
One of the things you're going to want to do as you play through the campaign is upgrade the items you find, and you can do that with currency items. An orb of transmutation will allow you to upgrade a normal item to a magic item with one mod.
Jako ty orby vypadají hodně luxusně, tyva. Ty orby vypadají tak luxusně.
Finally, you can use some exalted orbs to add more mods to your rare to a total
tam mě úplně bolí, na to koukám. Jo, tak tomu to rovnulo docela dobře. Plus projektily, ale tak to byl jiný prepaid.
Mods are much more common than they were in Path of Exile 1, so that you can use them throughout your campaign playthrough. We want you to find things on the ground that can be crafted into upgrades much more frequently.
Ok, takže říkal, že budeš nacházet častěji prostě ty orby, aby si mohl víc craftit. Jasně, disenchantils.
You can build up to an orb of transmutation, and by disenchanting rares, you can build up to regal orbs.
Okay, classicus.
Another important area of crafting items in PoE 2 is sockets. Some items you find will have sockets that can have Ezomite runes placed in them that add more mods to the item.
Jasně, že runy tam můžeš nám dát.
Rune into my helmet that will give extra cold resistance.
Extra
this
cold
is a
resistance.
great way to solve problems that you have with your build, like resistances or damage. If you find socketed items that you don't have a use for, you can take them to the salvage bench in town to work towards an artificer's orb. This will allow you to add sockets to your existing items.
Jasně, že to dává socket.
Jasně,
body armor má a two-handky 2 sockety.
To create items like armor scraps or whetstones. These will allow you to increase the quality of your items for an up to 20% boost.
Jasně, takže prostě itemy s kvalitou dávají itemy, co zvyšují kvalitu.
You can always sell them for gold. Gold can be used to buy items from vendors, and we've tried to do a lot to make sure that the items they have for sale are actually useful. Every time
takže goldy se dají používat na nakupování. Při levelování se zvyšuje.
This could be a great way to improve your gear, if you're lucky. Gold is also used to respec your passive skills.
Víme, goldy na refundování pasivek, jasný, to už i říkali před chvílí.
The other thing you might want to use gold for is the currency exchange. This allows you to exchange
Jasně, tohle to známe, to už teďkon bylo v pojedničce, že jo?
Now all items in Path of Exile are freely tradable. We never bind anything to your character, except gold.
O jasně, všechno se dá tradovat kromě goldů, to víme.
Most gear in Path of Exile 2 is randomly generated.
Aby lidi prostě nemohli prostě platit za goldy. Když chtějí tradovat, tak musí prostě hrát.
They're not just better rare items, they can do much stranger things that can fundamentally change your character. Corpse Wade will make any corpses you run through explode into clouds of poison. The Sands of Silk is a body armor that changes your dodge roll into a blink, morphing you into sand as you teleport past your foes.
Vypadá cool tohleto.
Some uniques are just pure hits of dopamine, like Quill Rain, which just turns your bow attacks into full auto by doubling your attack speed. Each unique is something that you can build your character around. We try to make sure that most unique items have a potential use at endgame, even if you find them early on. And as you can see, every single unique item comes with custom art to match.
Oh. Ještě aby ne, tyva. Každý unik má své vlastní to.
Starting in Act 2, you will come across Ascension trials, tests that you must complete.
A vlastní skin, prostě vlastní texturu.
We'll explain these trials soon, but first let's take a look at what Ascending can do for your character.
Je Ascension, klasika, takže labirint.
But at the start of early access, only 2 per class will be available. Ascendancy classes are unique to each character class, so choose wisely. They can drastically affect how you build your character.
Každá klasa bude mít 3, ale na začátku teďkom budou jenom 2 ascendančky.
Tempest Caller causes elemental storms to be summoned each time you do a critical hit with a spell.
Tak to budeš hrát nějaký cocko.
You can stack 2 copies of shock for more damage, and going deeper into the tree, you can make all your damage types apply shock. Make a shock build from any skill. Alternatively, you could become a chronomancer and command time itself.
Čas.
Stop time with time freeze. Not only that, but she has many other time manipulation abilities. Using Temporal Rift, she can teleport back to a previous location, resetting her life and mana back to
Temporal Rift, takže zvovenka.
Cast all her spells.
Zvovenka abilitka.
On the warrior, you can choose between the Warbringer or the Titan. The Warbringer channels the might of his. With Jade Heritage, you can encase your body in a protective layer that absorbs all damage until it breaks.
Okay.
Warcaller's Bellow allows you to explode the corpses of your enemies. And with Great Wolf's Howl, you can ignore the cooldowns of your war cries. Let all that anger out. The Titan class is all about hitting big. With Earthbreaker, every slam is a chance to create an aftershock. With crushing impacts, every hit becomes a crushing blow, which will allow you to stun your enemies with ease.
Dobrý plamenometník.
You can take advantage of stunning
Jak tam do něj sekal a ani se nehnul, tu.
As a ranger, you might choose to be a Deadeye, an expert marksman to take down foes with style. With endless munitions, every attack gains an extra projectile. With Gathering Winds, she gains a small increase to movement speed with every attack. But be careful, she loses them when getting hit.
Zatím jako byl jsem jako velký bow enjoyer v poječku jedničce, ale v poječku dvojce chci asi začít sortskou a zatím se mi nejvíc líbí, jako druhý se mi nejvíc líbí ten Merc.
Allowing her to spend her flask charges to throw explosive bottles that deal various types of damage. A bleeding concoction will make your enemies bleed, while a fulminating one can shock your enemies. Contagious Contamination.
Tohle to už jenom vidím, jak místo toho, aby si střílel lukem, tak házíš flašky. Z toho je mi úplně zle, když na to koukám. Asi jediný, kdybych to hrál, tak by to muselo one-shotovat všechny ty. Všechny mobky na one-shot. Jako jediný, kdybych hrál ty flašky.
With Pyromantic Pact, you can turn your mana into Infernal Flame.
Infernal Flame.
The flame builds up, and if it overflows, you'll take damage. Using Bringer of Flame, you'll want to make sure you keep the flames topped up. While your infernal flame is above 30%, all damage from you and your minions will ignite enemies. She can also transform into a literal demon. While in demon form, she takes an increasing amount of damage, but her cast speed and damage increase rapidly as well. So if you're planning on transforming into a demon, make sure you stack a lot of life recovery.
Nebo se nenechytnout. Blood Mage, ukáž. To jako vypadá pěkně, ty skilly.
Must pay the price of making skills cost life as well as mana. But in exchange, every monster they kill will drop life remnants, which allow them to quickly gain back.
Life orby.
With Crimson Power, she can gain large amounts of extra life, and with Vitality Siphon, she can use her spells to leech life back as well. Once you've got
máme zase problémy, technical difficulties incoming.
Critical hits deal incredible amounts of damage. A monk who is in tune with the elements might become an invoker. With elemental expression, the invoker will create waves of elemental power each time he does a critical strike. With faith as a choice, you gain the ability to meditate, allowing you to double your energy shield. Choose between I am the blizzard or I am the thunder to specialize in cold or lightning. Undicial Rage will allow you to turn into an unbound avatar.
Mi připomíná, že to vypadá jako Unbound Avatar mi připadá jako nová ascendančka spojeníčky. No, tak to je úplně spojeníčky. Kam, že to jinknuli od toho Rangera.
A resource that can be utilized to both absorb and deal damage.
Darkness.
The Shroud of Darkness will protect you from all damage incoming, but if you take Grasp of the Void, you will deal extra chaos damage from all the darkness you have. Their Dark Pact offers greatly increased resistances to chaos damage and can allow their mana leech to not only happen instantly, but apply to their energy shield as well.
Okay.
Another node you can take is Waking Dream, which allows you to see into the domain of the Breach Demons. There you will see the Flames of Chayula that can be taken to gain life, mana, and damage.
Okay.
The Mercenary has a job to do, but which job suits you? You might choose to become a Witch Hunter.
Witch Hunter?
Obsessive Rituals will give you a sorcery ward, allowing you to defend yourself against elemental hits in exchange for less defense against attacks. With Zealous Inquisition, your enemies have a 10% chance to explode on death. The chance is doubled against demons and undead.
No.
With Judge, Jury, and Executioner, your initial hit against enemies can deal up to 30% of their life and damage, if you're lucky. This is great for hunting powerful bosses.
Dobře mu dal bídu.
You can break your enemy's concentration, preventing them from casting spells as often as they would usually do. You could also choose to become a Gemling Legionnaire, enhancing your abilities by embedding gems directly in your flesh. Integrated Efficiency will give you extra skill slots. Thermatological Infusion gives you extra maximum resistances as you sock up more and more support gems. Adaptive Capability allows you to use any while Crystalline Potential adds extra quality bonuses to every gem socketed
ty procenta se budou nějak určitě divně scalovat, už to úplně vidím.
But one thing we haven't talked about yet is how you ascend in the first place.
No, cool.
Ascension in Path of Exile 2 requires completion of one of the great trials, which you'll find as you progress through the campaign. Each one is associated with one of the major cultures of Rayclast. Located in the Vasteri Plains are the Maraketh, a culture of rich tales and brutal traditions, who must do whatever it takes to survive in the desert. The highest position in Maraketh culture is a Sekima, and it is not a title given freely. All aspirants must complete the Trial of the Sekimas, a grueling gauntlet that will test their strength, will, cunning, and patience. To enter, a warrior of the Maraketh must prove their worth by trapping the soul of a djinn, a coin, and you are no different. Once you have earned your coin, it may be placed on the relic altar to begin the trial.
Balbala.
In the trial
Balbala the release.
Each room has its own challenges to overcome.
Blah blah blah.
Each rare monster you kill will send its blood to the chalice in the center of the room. Once the chalice is filled, you will be able to proceed. While fighting monsters in the trial, you will need to be very careful. Each hit will not only hurt you, but will damage your honor. The monsters are well telegraphed, so that you can avoid their attacks, but if you run out of honor, you will fail the trial and need to find
takže to sebrali Sanctum. Takže to je prostě Sanctum takový.
You are well prepared before challenging the trial of the Sekimas.
Okay.
After each room, you will be rewarded. In this case, you have been given a key that can be used to unlock chests later in the trial. Once you have claimed your reward, you will be shown a map of the rest of the floor and may choose how you wish to proceed. Which challenges rewards do you want to claim? Some rooms are more dangerous, afflicting you with debuffs that will persist for the entire trial. For example, entering this room will afflict you with Spiked Shell that will cause all monsters in the rest of the trial to have 50% increased life. You will want to take care if you choose such a path. There are many different challenges and rewards as you journey through the trial. Deadly traps, waves of monsters, and strange artifacts will test your honor. As you progress, you'll be able to gain boons from the Jinn, which will help you on your journey. For example, the Sekima's cloak will revive you once if you die, giving you a second shot at a run. One of the rewards you may find is an extremely valuable and treasured resource to the Jinn and the Marrakech. Trading it with the Jinn will allow you to receive many benefits. You can recover honor, gain additional boons, or remove afflictions.
Ale Sanctum, here we go.
At the end of the floor, you'll find a powerful boss which will truly test your limitations. In order to ascend, you will need to defeat him.
No.
Having defeated the boss, you've earned the right to ascend. But first, the loot. The keys you have found may be used to open the various treasures in the vault at the end of the floor. We only have a single bronze key, so we'll just have to open one of these small chests. If you want to open the better ones, you'll need silver or gold keys. Let's use the Altar of Ascendancy. Your first ascension will allow you to pick your class and grant you 2 points to use in the tree. Now there are more floors and many more rewards that can be found within the Trial of the Sekimas, but we'll save that for the section on the endgame. For now, let's talk about the second Ascendancy trial, the Trial of Chaos. In Path of Exile 2, you can choose whichever trial you like to earn your ascension. Each culture on Rayclast had their own methods to ascend. If the Trial of the Sekimas is not your kind of playstyle, or you're finding it too difficult, you could try another. You can gain all your ascension points from just one, or mix and match them. It's up to you.
Aha, takže...
Early access will have 2 trials options,
Tak to je hustý, takže...
coming later for the full release.
Všechny triály ti můžou dát všechny ascension pointy tím, že je děláš nějak víc dokola, asi očividně. Bylo zajímavý. A teda budou celkově 3 ty triály, a na začátku budou jenom 2, což znamená ten Sekema a tenhle ten druhý.
Entry to the trial requires a token from a strange entity known only as the Trial Master. For those in which he sees potential, he shall inscribe an ultimatum. Many have attempted these trials in search of greatness. Most have perished. Will you be able to defy the odds? Before you begin each chamber, the Trial Master will offer you a reward and a choice. Choose one of 3 tribulations to affect you through the rest of the trial. These modifiers might beef up the monsters, curse the player, or add environmental hazards like turrets or trap runes. In this case, we will be picking shocking turrets. As you enter the room, the Trial Master will fill it with hazards to test your commitment. In this case, you must destroy all the monsters that fill the room, while dealing with the lightning projectiles from the shocking turrets.
No, tak ty shocking turrety vypadají dost easy. Když střílí jenom jedním směrem. Prostě jenom nestůj u shocking turretu. Shocking turret střílí jeden projektil jedním směrem, bo. Tak to zase tak složitý snad jako nebude. Vypadá to zatím momentálně hodně jako jednoduchý ty shocking turrety. Dám si do hlavy, že si je mám vzít.
Take the rewards you have earned so far, or go double or nothing. Increase your rewards, but take on more risk. Each tribulation you add is minor on its own, but they quickly stack on top of each other and can become overwhelming. There are many types of chambers in the trial. Each will test your resolve in different ways. This one simply requires you survive for a certain amount of time.
Minutka, no.
Another requires you to escort the stone idol through the level as elevators full of monsters descend to attack you. Should you be able to get through the first 3 chambers, you will face your first boss. The order of the bosses and combined with the tribulations you have selected, the fight will never feel the same.
Jako ty bossové vypadají úplně gigaku.
Of course there are the items, but you also gain the right to ascend. If you already did the trial of the segments, then you can claim 2 more points to add to your ascendancy class. Now, it's possible to go much deeper. There are more bosses, rewards, and risks to take, but we'll talk more about that when we get to endgame.
Jasně, že to budou říkat až když... Okay.
So far, we've only been showing you footage from the campaign.
Jasně, kampaň.
I would argue that the endgame is where the game truly begins. Something that happens almost every time a new action RPG launches is people saying, there isn't enough endgame content.
Souhlasím.
We want to make sure that in PoE 2, people don't feel
třeba, že jo, v epoše. Poslední epocha Last Epoch, že jo.
The first 3 acts of PoE 2 already take around 25 hours to complete if you're a new player. This is already a pretty significant campaign. On the other hand, people spend hundreds of hours in endgame each league. We realized that finishing the rest of the campaign for early access was actually a bad idea. Instead of having acts 4 to 6 in early access, we could concentrate on endgame and make that great. For new players, a 25-hour campaign is already a huge game with lots of content. But for existing action RPG players,
takže budou 3 akty a pak endgame. OK, jasný.
Months ago, we switched the entire development team's focus over to making endgame content.
A protože právě, abych to dořekl, že v té epoše prostě nebyla žádná a pořád není žádná endgame.
The great thing is that the rest of the game is like 80% there. We'll be adding content to roughly double the size of the game during early access and into release. Now, in order to make the endgame happen at the same character what it would be after we added the rest of the acts, we've added a second difficulty level called Cruel, where you repeat the campaign with all the monsters and bosses leveled up. And of course, new rewards. You can kind of think of it as like a new game plus.
New game plus,
it's also a lot faster to get through the content the second time as your clear speed increases. That will take you to around level 65, where the endgame begins. Once we add the remaining 3 acts, we'll be removing Cruel difficulty.
A to dává smysl, jasně.
But to explain that, I'll hand over to Mark. He can tell you all about it.
Okay, Marku, vítej, Marku, čau.
I'm Mark Roberts, game director on Path of Exile 2. Well, one thing that Path of Exile is known for is having a lot of distinct endgame content to choose between.
To je pravda.
Each endgame mechanic needs to have its own progression system, areas, bosses, rewards, and player power that can only be gained from that content. We are going to be adding a lot more over time, but for Path of Exile 2 we decided to start with 7 distinct systems you can progress through.
Je 7 systémů na začátku hry.
And it serves as the core of the endgame for Path of Exile 2.
Endless.
It's infinite and expands in all directions.
Infinite
now,
and
we're not going to spoil the plot too much here, but corruption from the beast has blighted the land, and your objective is to help fight
takže
it.
corruption z
At the
beasta.
center of the atlas you will find the ziggurat, a temple in which the Val research the fundamentals of space and time. Here, we can open portals to nearby locations and begin cleansing corruption and finding resources.
Takže ze středu prostě se portíme.
We will need waystones.
Waystone, jaké mapy asi teda?
Determine the level of the monsters that you will face. To go to an area, simply click one that is adjacent to an area that you have already completed. Insert the waystone and click Traverse. Portals will open, allowing you and your party to travel to the area you have selected.
To je podobný prostě mapám.
The endgame feel distinct from the locations in the campaign, and we have dialed the randomization up to 11. The monster packs
tohle se mi teda líbí, že teda ty mapy vypadají v endgameu dost jinak než mapy v kampani, což je dobře, protože spousta že map po jednice je úplně totožná jako místa v kampani.
In order to cleanse the corruption from the area, you will need to defeat all the powerful rare and unique enemies in it. Once you have done that, the area will be marked as completed and you will be able to travel past it to progress deeper into the world. If you die, then the map can no longer be run and you will have to find another way around to get to the areas behind it.
Aha, ve chvíli, když zdechneš, tak už nemůžeš tu mapu nikdy dělat znova. Tak dává to smysl, protože to je jako nekonečný, takže vlastně můžeš jít kdykoliv jinam, pokud je to nekonečný, že jo, což říkají, že je.
Some of the buffs make you faster, others rain lightning or fire around you, and some even give you increased experience.
Jsou tam prostě shriny. Musíš zabít monstra, aby se dostal buff.
These enigmatic chests guard
strongboxy,
but are always a trap. Monsters lie in wait to attack you the moment you open it, and the boxes often have mechanisms to unleash powerful spells or dangerous
crafty boxy, detonate nearby
strong boxes containing different items, and you can even use your currency items to craft them on the fly, so you can optimize the content. But be careful of opening one you can't handle.
Se tam udělá ta mlha, to je hustý.
Monsters frozen in essences,
Okay.
solidified
Essence.
crystalline corruption. These dangerous monsters can be broken free. If you defeat them, the essence they drop can be used to upgrade normal items to magic items with a guaranteed mod from a category.
Jasný.
For example, we could use this one on some boots to ensure a movement speed mod. Rarely, essences will also drop that allow you to upgrade magics to rares, adding the guaranteed mod. This is incredibly powerful, since it allows you to get a second deterministic mod in your crafting projects. Combining these with the currencies that are commonly found in Rayclast for modifying items, and we can get a very nice pair of boots indeed.
No, ty vole, lakoš.
Waystones, like all items, can also be crafted using your currency items.
No.
Adding prefix mods will improve the rewards.
Vole, kraftění mapy největší ojeb a doufal jsem, že se toho zbavíme a očividně ne. To bylo jediný, co...
Waystones is key to progressing to higher tiers and sustaining them, but it will require you to take on larger challenges.
Ale to prostě jsou klasický, jako, nebo zatím je to hodně podobný jako mapy. A jediný teda, co musím říct, co jako za mě jako je nejhorší věc na 8 game v poječku je craftění map prostě. To je prostě waste of time a trvá to zbytečně dlouho, až ve mně, že to teda zachovali. Já nechápu, jak to někoho může bavit.
This tree allows you to juice the danger and rewards of all areas in the end.
Klasika je nějaký atlas
You could
strom.
increase the number of monsters, the number of rares, the number of precursor artifacts or strongboxes, even the quantity of item drops. As you explore the in-game world map, you'll notice various different biomes, from snow-capped mountains to dense jungle valleys. Most maps are restricted to certain biomes.
Máme spoustu
As you
biomů,
continue to
jasně.
explore deeper into the atlas, there are all sorts of things to discover. These cities are constructed by different peoples of Rayclast and have specific items that can be found there. These strange structures marked on the map don't appear to do anything for now. Perhaps you'll work out how to use them later. You might find unique maps like Untainted Paradise, an undisturbed island full of beasts.
700% zvýšených expů.
You may even find a lonely man
Nejlepší
just
ARPG.
enjoying his retirement who will give you a unique item for free. In addition, you can find special areas that would make a good spot to set up camp. Clear these areas of their hostile inhabitants, and you'll be able to claim them as your own hideout. You can decorate your hideout as you see fit, and invite various NPCs to join you there to create your own personal base of
To
operations.
moc dlouho nevydržel v té formě.
A great tool for exploration are towers. These mysterious precursor constructs are dotted around the atlas.
Okay, takže tohle je jako monolity. Jak monolity. Jak epocha, no. A já jsem si říkal, že to vypadá jak monolity, ale s tím, že ještě teda jako jsou to složitější monolity. A je tam korupce stejně jako epoše. To mě zajímalo, jestli jako je to napadlo z každýho zvlášť ta korupce, a nebo se inspirovali epochou, protože ta korupce je jako dobrý systém, ale ten systém celkově není ještě moc dodělaný, no.
This icon indicates that the area has a powerful boss. Because only 1 in 4 maps contain a map boss, we are able to make them very powerful and very rewarding. These bosses come from the campaign, but have had their difficulty increased with changes to AI and some of their abilities.
Ok, takže jsou to bossové, který potkáš v kampani, ale jsou buffnutí tím, že jsou těžší a plus mají víc abilit, změněný AIko a taky jsou těžší tím pádem. Ok, tady jsou specializovaný stromy pro různý druhy kontentu, aby si nemusel vybírat a switchovat atlas. Ok, cool.
If you played PoE 1, you might be familiar with Breach. For PoE 2,
Známe
we
Breach.
created sequels to several PoE 1 leagues. While the mechanic is familiar, the monsters, bosses, rewards, and progression are all new.
Vlastně mechanika je podobná, ale monstra jsou jiný a tak dále.
By engaging with a breach, you'll create a bridge between their world and Rayclast. In order to keep the breach open, you will need to kill the demons that pour forth. The faster you can kill the monsters, the more monsters you will fight, and the more loot you will find. You can also find clasped hands that will open and drop more items if you run over.
Clasped hands.
These can be a good boost to the rewards of the breach, so keep an eye out. One of the rewards that you may find while fighting monsters from Breach are tablets. Tablets are special items that can be used with precursor towers to add more encounters to the Atlas. Breaches will drop breach tablets. Clicking on a completed tower will allow you to consume the tablet to add more breaches to areas within range of the tower. This makes all the content in the Atlas self-sustaining. Want to do more breaches? Find the tablets, add them to your towers, get more breaches, getting more tablets. Soon, your Atlas will be covered in otherworldly domains. In addition, like all items in PoE, you can craft them. Use your currency to add mods to your tablets, allowing you to upgrade all the breaches in range.
Jako já rozumím tomu, že chceš craftit itemy a item craftění, ať jako craftění equipmentu, ne itemů, ať zůstane sklidně složitý, ať je to brutalita, všechno možný, ale ty vole craftění těch map a tabletů a všeho, prostě už víme z jedničky, že pokud chceš jít třeba 20 map v kuse, tak předtím strávíš prostě minimálně třeba 3/4 hodiny craftěním těch map. Tohle to mě teda trošku jako štve, no. Jako chápu, že jsou lidi enjoyeři, ale prostě craftění map nepřidává do hry nic dobrýho, no. 50% kvality, jo.
Breach rings can become some of the strongest rings in the game, giving you some good motivation to
a tím pádem teda není tam napsáno, že breach ringy fungují v breachi.
While killing breach monsters, you may find breach splinters. Collect enough of these and you'll be able to create a breach stone.
Vlastně breach stone.
Using a vile technology called the Realm Gate, you can use your breach stone to access their domain and bring the fight to them. In this twisted domain, you will find nothing but a single massive breach. Triggering it will reveal hordes of breach inhabitants.
Což je podobný prostě jako Bridgestone v pojedničce. To bylo za portály.
Should you be fast enough, you will be able to fight their leader, Zesht. We that are one.
Jo, a Zesht je ten, co byl v té cinematice, ok? Učička takzvaný. To je sniper. Jako graficky ta hra vypadá prostě spicy.
This is just one of the pinnacle encounters of PoE 2. We won't be showing the rest of them, so you will have to discover them for yourself. But rest assured, this is some of the hardest content we have ever made. All these encounters are specific uniques that can only be found from them, but that's not all. We still have
specifický uniky.
Defeating Zesht will give you points to allocate into the breach section of the Atlas.
Jasně, když zabiješ Zeshta, dostaneš body.
The breach domain even harder, but will give you more rewards. The small nodes will increase the difficulty of the twisted domain, while the large nodes have more specific bonuses. For example, this node adds more clasped hands to your breaches, and adds a pack of magic monsters that can guard them. Get some more points and you can allocate Waking Nightmare, which will double the number of splinters you get from clasped hands,
double
and inflict you with a mysterious debuff. In order to earn more points, you will need to defeat Zesht at a higher difficulty, and some rewards from Zesht can only be found by increasing the difficulty of the Twisted Domain above certain thresholds. Defeating Zesht at difficulty 4 will be a challenge indeed, but there are many more threats in Rayclast.
No, což teda jako je stejný jako v Epoše, tím, že jdeš na nějakou korupci, tak pak jsou tam pěší, nebo dostáváš tam looty, což je podobný jako Uber bossové prostě v pojednice, ale tohle to se spíš blíží té korupci, protože prostě zvyšuješ rituáleček.
Monsters you just killed will be resurrected by the King of the Mist's dark magic, and you must fight to survive.
Rituál prostě zatím vypadá podobně.
To gain more tribute, you will want to find more altars. Each successive ritual you do within an area will spawn the monsters revived by the previous ones, in addition to the ones you sacrifice next to it. By the end of the area, you'll be fighting a truly imposing number of foes.
Takže rituál funguje, jasně, takže rituál funguje teďkon tak, že předchozí monstra, který si zabil, se spavnou v následujícím rituálu plus ty monstra, co si zabil v okolí toho druhého rituálu. Okay. Takže jsou tam nějaký omeny, prostě klasicky. Vlastně rituál tablety, to je jasný.
The pinnacle encounter of Ritual is the King in the Mists. Feared by the Asmeri people, he is said to have brought eternal darkness to the Wildwood. We won't show the encounter, but just like Breach, there are a range of unique items you can get for defeating him, and you will gain points in the Ritual section of the Atlas Tree. Some maps have been touched by insanity. A mysterious entity
Delirium, okay, to je moje oblíbená. Zatím jediná mechanika, která mě... Blíží ještě OK taky, ten není otravný, ale rituál mě nikdy nebavil moc. Jsem zkoušel tuhle season znova podle nějaký guidy, kde říkali, že rituál je skvěle buffnutý pro jedničku, ale byl strašný. Vlastně. Klasika. Koukám, že normálně můžeš znova ukončit tu Delirium Mist.
Distilled emotions. By combining these emotions, you are able to instill your amulet with a notable from the passive skill tree.
Takže,
this is like gaining an extra passive point for free attached to your gear.
Takže anointy jsou teďkon přes...
allowing you to get off-class bonuses that would normally be much harder to
get. Že anointy jsou teď z Deliria.
Distilled emotions can also be used to instill your amulet, applying Delirious to them and adding additional difficulty and rewards, allowing you to further juice your in-game maps. The tablets you can find from Deliria can be used to further improve it, increase pack size, make the fog dissipate slower, or improve your progress towards the pinnacle encounter of Delirium. Speaking of which, every now and then you will find simulacrum splinters. The mysterious entity will create strange encounters based on warped versions of your own memories. Monsters and simulacrums come in waves that get progressively more difficult. You will receive loot at the end of each wave, and you will have to make the decision to leave now or continue on, facing up against even tougher foes from the mist. The bosses you will face as you get deeper into the terrifying.
Tam jako byl i v jedničce teda.
You will gain points for the Delirium section of the Atlas skill tree. Next up we have Expedition.
To se vrací.
Occasionally while clearing corruption, you will encounter these Kalguran settlers. The Kalgurans have discovered ancient burial sites with lost Verisium artifacts, and they want you to help dig them up with explosives. The Kalgurans have marked the locations where the relics can be found. Place explosives as best you can to dig up as many as possible. There is just one problem. Corruption has brought the corpses of their ancestors to life, so you might have to do a little cleanup before you can reclaim the artifacts.
Takže prostě přidávají ty mechaniky. Jako nerozumím tomu, že přidávají mechaniky, které prostě zdržují gameplay. Jako jo, respektuju to, že se někomu ten mechanika může líbit, nebo že prostě je i OP nějaký exchangeování itemů a prostě craftění. Ale prostě ty koho baví se zastavit v mapě a pokládat explozívy.
Eventually, you might discover a logbook. These are special maps full of
v životě jsem našel logbook, v životě.
One giant dig site. Here, you can create an extremely long chain of explosives and go through a very high number of remnants. But be careful, many remnants have mobs that can really break your build, so you will probably...
Už jenom to, jak vidím, že můžeš pokládat hodně, je mi z toho špatně.
There are all sorts of interesting things buried under the ground in logbooks.
Já prostě věřím, že to je jako luxusní.
But the most powerful encounter is Olroth, the ancient undead commander of the Knights of the Sun. Defeating him will grant you unique rewards, as well as points to spend in the expedition section of the Atlas tree.
Výborný, takže tam budu mít pravděpodobně 0.
But we are not done yet. The trials we talked about earlier have much more content when you get to endgame 2.
Jasně.
Just like the other endgame systems, they also have progression mechanics.
Že triály prostě jaký scalujou, to už jsme věděli, když o nich mluvili.
As you get higher level coins for the trial of the Sycamores, you will unlock more floors to explore.
To už tam leze do toho
Each
ohně.
floor has its own challenging rooms and a floor boss that you will need to kill.
Hadí a Rafík. W.
There are 4 floors in total, leading to another pinnacle boss at the end of the last floor, which can only be accessed at endgame. The trial of the Sycamores is where you'll find jewels, which you can socket into your tree.
Okay,
These are the items that you
čevele.
craft with your currency items. They can be really powerful as they allow you to stack modifiers that may not be easily accessible on the tree normally. This jewel gives lightning damage and shock chance, for example. There are quite a few jewel sockets on the tree, so it's possible to gain a lot of power here. There are also other types of jewels that don't provide any bonuses themselves, but affect other passives surrounding them. This jewel increases the effect of small nodes and radius by 25%. With careful placement in the tree, you could get a significant amount of power from it. There are also unique jewels available with very interesting effects, but you will have to find those for yourself.
Jasně,
In
no.
order to push further into the
Dživeláři.
trial and uncover the secrets of the Maraketh, you will want to take advantage of its
craftit.
progression system, relics. Relics are items that can be placed in the relic altar
A,
as you start the
prostě,
trial. They
což je
give
prostě
special
sanktum
bonuses that
tohleto,
affect
no.
the trial, making it easier and increasing its rewards. Of course, you can craft these with your currency items, making them even
To jsem říkal, jak tam měl ten
If you
item.
complete the entire trial, overcoming all 4 floors, the final boss will reward you with one of many
Bude stejný
unique
boss jako v
These
jedničce,
relics will be
na konci
consumed when
sanktum.
used on your next run, but can reward you with unique
Bába
and
s
powerful
křídlama.
items. For example, this is the Last Flame. If you use it, you will have only 1 honor for the entire trial, so you will need to do a completely hitless run.
Oh. To
The
skončil.
Trial of Chaos also extends into the endgame. As you gain inscribed ultimatums of higher and higher levels, the number of chambers that you can go through increases. In true Val style, this allows you to take even more risks for even more rewards. At endgame, you can progress through up to 10 chambers with 3 bosses on a single run. Stacking 10 tribulations on top of each other will make this a significant
No,
challenge,
to
but it's
věřím.
worth it. The trial master
Takovej
will tempt you
dinosaur.
with items of the Val Empire, such as Val Orbs. Val Orbs are powerful crafting items that corrupt your gear with random mysterious
Musím říct, že ty
items.
orby vypadají teda
Corruption
luxusně.
prevents an item from being modified further, so it has to be the last step of your craft. But it's also the most impactful one. For example, if you use one on your body armor, it might add a new powerful enchantment, or it might reroll up to half of its modifiers. Val Orbs also have the ability to add a socket, allowing you to bypass the normal restriction of how many sockets an
what?
item can have.
3 sockety?
Body armor could get up to 3 sockets this way, allowing for a significant number of mods.
No,
Val
tak
Orbs can even
slušný.
modify uniques. Adding enchantments or sockets to uniques can make them incredibly powerful.
Myslíš, že to
but
brikne
there's a
taky?
good chance that you will break them as well.
Briknutí do
Trial Master
náze.
will also occasionally offer you soul cores. Originally formed by Chaos, the Val sought to replicate soul cores through human sacrifice rituals.
Human
and
sacrifice,
blood magic to power
ajajaj.
their civilization. Soul cores are powerful socketable items, with mods that cannot be obtained from regular runes.
Jasný.
Like all endgame content, there is of course a pinnacle boss. The final chamber will drop keys to this
Taková
mysterious
Arakoa.
Some
Taková
say this
Arakoa.
is where the trial master himself resides. Perhaps you are willing to take the risk to find out. Had enough yet? Because there is still just one more thing. The most difficult
piňáko
content in
bossová.
Path of Exile 2. While mapping, you might come across this fortress that has emerged from underground, surrounded
Pěkná
by an
fortresa.
enormous maze riddled with danger. Is the maze preventing something from getting in? Or something getting out?
Getting
this
out.
fortress is of ancient origin, and its construction has similarities to the towers and tablets that you have been using on your journey through the endgame. It is clear from the entrance that there are 3 keys required to enter. Local factions are vying for access to the fortress in order to seize the power they believe will be inside. Each of the faction's leaders have managed to get their hands on one of the keys, so you will need to defeat them. Each faction is led by an Uber Act boss. You can see one of them inhabiting the city. But in order to fight him, you will first need to defeat their 2 lieutenants in the adjacent zones. Be careful. If you fail against either of the lieutenants, or to kill the leader, they will move on, and you will need to find them again. Kill all the Uber bosses and you will gain access to the fortress. We aren't going to spoil it as we can't wait to see you guys attempt it for the first time. But is there a tree you get points in after killing it? Of course there is. This is Path of Exile. There is always another tree.
So these are your challenges for PoE 2. As you can see, this project is crazy huge, way bigger than even we expected when we started out. But how do you gain access? Well, during early access you'll need a key to get in. To thank our existing PoE supporters who have spent more than $480, we'll be giving you guys a key for the PC version for free. Anyone else who wants one can get one by purchasing one of the new early access supporter packs that have just been released to the store.
Já si nepamatuju, kolik jsem utratil. To musel čeknout. Mohlo by to být zhruba.
The pack also comes with $30 of points to spend in the MTX store.
A to víme, že za 30.
We also have a variety of other supporter packs filled with exclusive microtransactions, points to spend in the store, and even physical items. The cosmetics can be used right now in Tier 1 and in Path of Exile 2 when early access starts.
180.
Most of this
a nějaký 960.
Path of Exile 1, since that's where you can use them immediately. The Lord of Ogham supporter pack contains a cosmetic armor set befitting of the Count of Ogham himself. There is also a matching variant depicting the influence of corruption. Also in this pack, you can find a portal formed of the rusted armor of the fallen soldiers in the Red Veil of Ogham. And the offspring of a vicious crowbell boss found in the hunting grounds. This one doesn't look so vicious though. On top of that, you'll receive the Iron Count's Zweihander to apply to your one-handed or two-handed swords. For those who are wanting to decorate your hideouts with fond memories and tales of Path of Exile's history, you will also get a series of hideout statues. This pack contains the statue of Hillock. For Path of Exile 1's closed beta, each pack contained a true New Zealand icon, the Kiwi. Following this tradition, all packs in this series will also contain a new themed Kiwi pet.
Jasně, a plus vždycky ten dražší bude obsahovat to předchozí plus nový, no.
Show your mastery of traversing the sands of the Vasteri Plains. The body armor will allow you to glide along the ground with ancient sand magic. Now each armor set comes with body armor, boots, gloves, and helmet, but the boots are covered in sand. If you'd prefer to show them off, you can turn the gliding off if you want. The accompanying back attachment equips you with 2 powerful pillars that can control and manipulate lightning. They will periodically release their energy in a powerful blast while in town, and hover in a circle around you, arcing lightning between them, forming a barrier of energy. Replace the appearance of any bow with the Faradin's Glory skin, or replace the appearance of a spear with the Tyranny's End spear skin. This spear skin can be applied to staves and war staves in Path of Exile 1. If you want to truly show your worth as a king of the Faradin, then you definitely need your trusty, moving, entire city fortress known as the Dreadnought to travel across the Vasteri Plains.
A hideout?
In Path of Exile, you can decorate your hideout however you like, and it's no exception here. It comes with a variety of thematic elements to use, or you can decorate elsewhere in the game.
That's cool.
Additionally, you will get the Deshret's Blessing level up effect.
Ooh.
The King of the Faradin Kiwi pet. And last but not least, a statue depicting the Vile Oversoul from Path of Exile 1. For those who don't know how supporter packs work, each pack comes with all the cosmetics from the previous game, so you'll get all the items from the Lord of Ogham supporter pack as well. The Thaumaturge of the Vile supporter pack features an armor set and back attachment themed around the Vile and their pursuit of science and progress. You can find the Soul Core weapon effect in this pack, which causes thaumaturgic energy harnessed from sacrifice to spill from your weapon. This pack also contains Doyani's Idol.
Jako je cool, že vlastně můžeš získat PoE 2 za $30, pokud si ji nikdy ani nehrál, to je jako fakt hustý.
That's not the only Vile weapon you'll find. It also contains the Wand of the Thaumaturge skin and the Royal Sacrifice Dagger skin.
To vypadá, ty daggerky vypadají
gems on a Kiwi, but the Vile did. Thaumaturge of the Vile supporters will receive the Thaumaturge of the Vile Kiwi pet and the Statue of Dominus. This is also the
Vlastně
first pack in the
Dominus.
series with a physical item. When purchasing this
Physical
pack,
item.
you'll receive a Path of Exile 2 logo t-shirt.
Tak to
But if
bych
you don't
docela
want one,
chtěl.
you can opt out and return for additional points to
No
spend
jasně,
in the store.
nemusíš a dostaneš body.
Becoming a Warlord of the Karui supporter will grant you an armor set and back attachment, adorned in jade carving.
Jako vsadím se, že lidi, co utratili víc než $480 a dostanou klíč zdarma, tak si stejně koupěj ty supporter packy kvůli třeba poje 2 tričku, že jo, prostě. Většinou mají ty prachy.
Why not drop a gigantic totem on rare enemies you
A
slay
dobrý,
to crush
a
them
dobrý,
to a
tento
pulp?
tam.
Replace your crafting bench in your hideout with the Ancestral Canoe crafting bench, where Ancestral Chief Mata will summon a giant canoe manned by Karui warriors.
Je trochu otravný tohleto.
We must all start somewhere.
You'll also get a pair of weapon skins.
Takový plácačky, ne?
Koya's Felling Axe skin.
Tak ty vypadají za mě hrozně.
Or Tukohama's Crusher to your one-handed or two-handed maces.
Zatím se mi nejvíc líbí asi ten třetí pak. A plus se mi líbí to glidování z druhého paku. Bylo by dobrý, pokud bys to glidování mohl mít nezávisle na tom brnění, který se mi extrémně nelíbí, ale kdyby si mohl dát jako jenom boty, který by pak glidovaly, bylo by to dobrý, jako no.
Malachi was slain by a powerful exile.
Jo, to je dobrý,
May
no.
the statue commemorate the virtue of exile's past, present, and of the future. Of course, it's not all about dressing up in game. You'll want to look good in real life too. By becoming a Warlord of the Karui supporter, you'll also get a Path of Exile 2 hoodie. Our final tier of supporter pack in this series is the Liberator of Ray class supporter pack.
Jako teda bohužel musím říct, že se mi to vůbec nelíbí, ty armor sety.
Finest materials in Ray class, and shattered glass mosaics suspended in divine power.
Jako ta mozaika na zádech je dobrá, všechno ostatní je asi za mě hrozný. Já prostě mám rád čistý, clean, takový ty minimalistický věci prostě.
Beacon of Salvation Hideout comes equipped with your own collection of small islands and personal operators of boats that you can use to row between them. Just walk to the piers, click a boat to enter and navigate as you choose. Decorate each island as you see fit to best represent your
určitě hideout, kde chceš mít takhle malej hideout, kde máš všechno na jednom místě a budeš mít hideout, kde máš několik ostrovů a mezi nima budeš plavat, aby si se dostal k šestě. To se mi moc nelíbí, jako když je to rozbitý, tak to vypadá dobře.
But it also comes with a throne you can sit on to oversee your growing kingdom. Look down on the plebeians running your maps. Being the liberator though, is not just about sitting on your throne all day. If you do decide to join the fight yourself, you can leave a high priest in charge as your second in command.
High priest in charge, ten vypadá líp než ty.
Supporters will also get a set of varied weapon skins. The Light of Divinity Scepter skin. The Deliverance crossbow skin.
To je prostě takový jakoby paladinský dír, no, prostě paladin inquisitor, no, to se mi nelíbí, no.
Once again, you'll have an accompanying kiwi, and of course a statue depicting one of the most iconic events in Rayclast's history. The battle between a powerful exile and Kitava, the Insatiable. With the help of two deities, Sin and Innocence, the exile was able to defeat him once and for all. This supporter pack also contains the Path of Exile 2 art book. This 215-page full-color art book includes a huge amount of amazing concept art and lore produced during the long and exciting journey of Path of Exile 2's development.
Zajímavé, že knihu už mají hotovou, ale hru ne.
Path of Exile has a tradition of letting the community participate in designing game features. For Path of Exile 2, we'll be adding the Twilight Order foil reliquary. By becoming a Liberator of Rayclass supporter, once Path of Exile 2 is released, you will be able to select any unique item you have found and be able to drop it from the reliquary. Once players have submitted their items, keys to the reliquary will start dropping, and other players will be able to find foil versions of uniques that you have submitted along with a message for the lucky player. The more players submit the same unique, the more chances there will be for the reliquary to drop them, so choose wisely.
Matchblady, všichni subscribujte Matchblady.
Here we won right now. There are a few exceptions where the item class clearly doesn't exist, such as crossbows or flails. And there are also a few microtransactions on weapon types that are unavailable in PoE 2 at the start of early access. Once classes that use those weapon types are added, those microtransactions will be available to use.
Jasně, já
If you
chápu.
can't decide which supporter pack to choose yet, you can always start with the early access supporter pack that just includes a key and some points to spend in the store. Then you can upgrade to any of the following tiers at a later date. These supporter packs will be available for purchase throughout early access. We'd really like to thank you for your ongoing support. Without you guys, Path of Exile 2 could not have happened.